So the first thing if you want VAST is you need to ascertain is whether you've got TV reception in your area or not. So you can, a couple ways you can do that. You can go online and go to the Digital Ready website, and it'll give you a graph, or like a green, if I think it's green if it's good reception. It gives you an indication at least whether you're in a good reception area. It's pretty vague. Well, the best way is to get an antenna guy to come to your house and do a test. If you've already done that and you've had antenna guys there and you know you definitely got no reception or in an area where it keeps on pixelating, then you need VAST. So VAST is basically compromises of a satellite dish, exactly the same as the Foxtel dish or the old Austar dishes, and it comes from the same satellite. It's almost the same, as a set-top box, same cabling. So essentially, if you haven't got Austar on, you're supposed to get permission from Foxtel to use their dish, but once it's installed in your house, it's yours. So if you go and buy a VAST box from somebody like us who sells VAST boxes, you can essentially put a VAST box on a Foxtel system and it will work straight away. You wouldn't have to do anything but buy the box and plug it in. And generally you'll get all the Go's and Gems, 7 mates all the same, but you don't get 9 and 10 like you would traditionally get in Brisbane or a city. It's called Imparsia. Now Imparsia is a combination of 9 and 10, has ads from up in Northern Territory, but you get all the major sport, the major TV shows, they just combine it together. Channel 7 is called 7 Central, and it's from up north as well, so it's pretty much exactly the same as you get down here, same news. For your local news, say if you're in the Toowoomba area or in a regional area, then your Win News, you still can get it. It's on a separate channel, so the news, they have a news channel designated for news. During the day, there's nothing on it, just shows a bit of music, and then at night time the news all starts at, I think it's 5:30, and they have every half an hour the news from each area. So you have to go into that channel and have a look when your news is for your area, and go, okay, my news is replayed every night at 7 o'clock, or it might be replayed every night at 8 o'clock. And you watch a half an hour of local news. So they have a news channel designated for that, and each area is just one after the other. So if you've already got Foxtel on, then you would need an installer like us to come down. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can put another dish up if you want, that's probably the most expensive way, or the easiest way is to change the L&B. So on the front of the dish, big round dish, on the front of it there's a thing called an L&B with a cable hanging out of it, and you can change that L&B to a quad or a dual or a quad L&B to get more cables out of it, and then your Foxtel will work exactly the same, and we'll run a cable out of that because it's the same satellite or comes from the same place. Run a cable that from there down to your TV point, and you can then hook a VAST box up off the same dish. So you'd still need some cost. You need the L&B, and depending on what type of L&B, they're 100 to 150 bucks for an L&B, and then you'll need obviously the cabling installed, and then the VAST boxes. Effectively for VAST at the moment, it all comes off, it's all, and this gets a little bit technical, vertically polarised. So you only have to put a splitter in. You don't have to put a dual L&B in. The dual L&B, changing the L&B is really only if it's an old dish and it's got an old L&B on there, you have to change it. Or if you've got a Foxtel dish that you want to run off the Foxtel dish, then you have to change the L&B. But if there's a reasonably new dish on there, or we're putting the dish on there, then it's cheaper to run one cable down if the house is on stumps under the house, and then you put a splitter in to split off the 2 TV points, and that's definitely the cheapest way. 2 VAST boxes, they'll both work. So yes, VAST will pixelate and break up if there's a big storm above you, and that's pretty much the only time it goes to the stars, goes through the clouds. And if there's a big storm, thunderstorm in summer, then it will pixelate and freeze, and it'll say no signal, or I can't remember the error now that it comes up with, but it'll say no signal, and it's normally only for the 5 or 10 minutes that the bulk of the storm is passing over. It should not break up just in general rain, misty stuff. It should work fine through that, and the way we align it and the variances we have to have on it make it so that it should work during normal bad weather. It's only for a real big storm and the clouds so thick and dense that you won't get reception. If it's a light shower and it's playing up, then generally that's normally an alignment problem. The L&B or the dish is not quite lined up and not getting enough out of it, or maybe you've got a box off us or from somebody, and your dishes actually might even be too small. If you're using an old Foxtel dish, then in the early days when Foxtel or Austar back then were installing, they were 65 centimetre dishes, and now we put up 80 centimetre dishes, so they're bigger, they receive more signal and they work better in bad weather. So it could be an old dish or an old L&B. So again, you'd need to install it to replace a dish in the L&B. So approval for VAST, no, you don't anymore. You used to have a whole heap of forms and jargon, but not anymore. If you're in a poor reception area, you can get it. In fact, you can probably pretty much get it wherever you want, but it's supposed to be in poor reception areas. And you wouldn't want it in town where you can get reception to the tower anyhow, because you've got to buy a set-top box. So it is more costly because every TV point has to have a set-top box. So yeah, if you can get free reception off the tower, then that's definitely the cheapest way to do it. If you're in an area with poor reception, then VAST is the only way to get reception. So the smart card comes with a box. Yes, it'll have a smart card in it. Looks exactly, probably looks a bit like a Foxtel box, I suppose, and it's a decoder about the same size, and it's got a smart card, little thing in the front, but the smart card is matched to that box. So you can't take the smart card out and put it in another box, and so you can't take it out, it won't work without it. So essentially you won't never have to touch it. It comes with it, you get it registered, it works within normally 24 hours, and you don't even really need to touch that smart card. Forget it's even there. Registration process is online. You can do it via paper and fax it away, or you can go online, and it's really simple. The Digital Ready website has a link to VAST activation. Fill out the form online, and you put your serial number for your smart card in there, and you don't have to take the smart card out because the serial number for the smart card is written on the box that your VAST box your set-top box came with. It's written on the box, so you just type that number in the activations, and normally overnight. In fact, it normally happens quicker than that. It normally happens within a couple of hours, but sometimes overnight. They say minimum overnight or 24 hours, so you'll have all the channels going. So cost-wise, if you wanted to go from scratch, you can't use your Austar, you haven't got a Foxtel dish on the roof, or you can't use it for whatever reason, then generally within the 30k radius it's about $880, and that includes the dish, 80 centimetre dish, the mount for the dish, the L&B, cable down to the TV, the labour to cable it all, and one VAST box. Now, so that's what I set up to one TV. In a poor reception area, you're going to spend $600 odd minimum on your antenna system anyhow, so $800 to $900 is that extra little bit for that set-top box. Now, the expensive part, unfortunately for VAST, is that you need a set-top box for every TV that you're watching. So if you've got two TVs in your house and you want them both going, then you need two VAST boxes, and the VAST boxes themselves are 270 plus tax, so $297, which then you put another basically $300 on top of that. 880, 900, so you're looking at about $1,200 then, and each TV needs a VAST box. That does become expensive a little bit, so you've got to weigh up then, do you really want to watch TV on that one, or how you want to go about utilising your TVs in your house. So for VAST, step one is to go online or get an antenna guide to make sure that you're in an area where there's no TV reception. Otherwise, as I said, it's a bit more costly, so you don't want to go spend all the money if you don't need to, if you can get reception from a normal antenna. Step two is then to ascertain whether you've got a Foxtel dish on the roof that you can use. And step three is then to buy a VAST box if you have got a Foxtel dish you can use, or if you haven't got a Foxtel dish, then you would need to either buy a VAST box and buy the kit and try and install it yourself, which is very hard to align a dish. It's how many kilometres, 30, 40 kilometres away, or how far away it is, so it's not easy, and even for a trained installer, it can still be a little bit time consuming to line the dish up. It's probably the hardest part. So step four is activation. So once it's installed by you or whoever, it needs to be activated, which is the online part, and then straight away you should be able to get the ABCs and SPSs because they're free. Well, it's all free, but they come up straight away. That's a good indication it's all lined up and working, and then the activation part will give you the extra channels.